Hello everyone, I am back once again, and today I'm going to be showcasing another Wi-Fi match. It's going to be the rematch against Chuchito from the last match that I showcased, so yeah, you know what that means obviously. It's time for revenge. Not really, but you know what I mean. Basically, it's not a salty run back per se. It's just that, like I said in the last video, I was trying to get other people to, do matches with for Sword and Shield, but there kind of wasn't that many, because this was near the end of Generation 8, so because of that, I, like, as soon as I was asking for more matches, I just, kept getting Chuchito, so I was just like, you know what, fine, we'll just play him, honestly. I just want to do more Sword and Shield matches, basically, because I haven't done many in a while. Well, aside from the draft leagues, of course, but still, you know what I mean. Like, outside of draft leagues is what I wanted to do, matches for, so, because, matches from draft leagues always hit a lot different, obviously. Whereas standalone, I don't know, I just feel like I can do literally anything. You'd think it'd actually be much more difficult just given the unpredictability, but I think if you're familiar with the meta, which I kind of am still not, you'd definitely be better off, I don't know. But anyway, so, yeah, as you can see, here are the teams. My opponent unfortunately has a rain team, and unfortunately the team that I'm using is the same one that I used in the last match, because I kind of wanted to redeem this team. I feel like this team didn't get to shine because of the RNG that happened in the last match. So because of that, obviously I decided to use this team once again. I was kind of hoping he'd use a different team too, which he did, but it's a rain team, which I think this team is kind of not built for it, honestly. So yeah, even if RNG doesn't play a role in this match, I think, like, I don't know, like, I wasn't very hopeful of winning this match just because, I usually don't do well with rain teams unless I'm very much prepared for it, honestly. And even in draft leagues where you can pretty much see from the get-go that the opponent has a rain team, or at least has potential to use a rain team, you'd be able to prepare for it. But in this case, because it's a standalone Wi-Fi match, we don't actually see that, obviously. We don't even realize that he'll probably bring the rain team. In fact, for me, it didn't even occur to me that this guy would be capable of bringing such a team. But as you can see, he did. So yeah, that kind of scared me a lot, honestly, I'll be honest with you. But here we go. So this is going to be how the match starts. He's going to lead off with the Pelipper, which is kind of what I was expecting, honestly, especially if it has the Damp Rock to extend the rain turns, damn it, not terms, jeez. But yeah, here I'm going to lead off with Tapu Lele, obviously, because looking at his team, he didn't have any psychic immunities. That Urshifu, I'm willing to bet, is the water type variant of Urshifu. I don't remember what it was called again, though. But yeah, the water type Urshifu, basically. So I decided to lead with it, and I should be able to get a powerful psychic off, and if he switches out to anything, nothing's going to appreciate it. I'm pretty sure anything would get 2-hit KO'd right at this point, if not straight up KO'd. And as you can see, unfortunately for me, this thing actually ended up surviving the stab psychic terrain boosted psychic from Tapu Lele, which was like, it was astonishing, but it was also infuriating, because that means that this Pelipper is now going to be switched back in for another 8 turns, basically. I was really just hoping I could take it out right here, honestly, but alas. It's because, I don't know why, but I think I'm starting to overestimate the Tapu Lele's potential when timid nature, obviously, and not choice specs. Because choice specs Tapu Lele would definitely have taken out this Pelipper, but it would have been susceptible to any mon that's faster than it, Damn. But yeah, so anyways, here, he went for the U-turn with the Pelipper and brought in this Barraskewda. Now, at the time, I actually didn't know what this thing could do, honestly. I know now, but at the time I did not know what this thing could do. It does look like Basculin to an extent, so that's kind of why I was thinking that it would probably be a powerful mon with maybe even like a lot of speed. I wasn't sure ultimately because I didn't know what to do, honestly, in the situation. I just send in Rotom hoping I don't get like water moved, even though that was most likely the case. So maybe I was sacking this instead, actually. So I don't know. But yeah, here he ended up going for Poison Jab, so that's actually good for me, but I just went for the Volt Switch here thinking I was going to get Liquidationed. He actually doesn't end up going for it, and ends up switching into Seismitoad, which I'll be honest with you, I kind of wasn't expecting, honestly. I don't know, here it was kind of a complicated turn, honestly. I thought that, because it's rainy, obviously, I was thinking he'd probably want to go for a Liquidation, no? But, he didn't. He ended up switching into this, and I honestly got pissed at this portion because I actually wanted to go for the Toxic, but I just didn't think I'd be able to I didn't think I'd be able to do that anyway, so I just went for the Volt Switch. So yeah, like had I went for the Toxic instead, I would have been able to get this Seismitoad poisoned, obviously, which, you know, I didn't end up doing. So as a result, I just lost Rotom. It literally got to do nothing, obviously. So yeah, here I'm gonna send in Conkeldurr now, and he's gonna go for Liquidation now with the Seismitoad, and unfortunately he gets a crit. Now let it be known that this particular crit actually does kind of matter in the long run, and you're gonna see why towards the end, obviously. Okay, so here, yeah, obviously I survived the Liquidation. I take much more damage than I was hoping, obviously. Here I go for the Drain Punch though and get a decent amount of it back. And here, basically because of that crit, now I'm here thinking, should I switch out? I think even without the crit, I probably would have been forced to switch out anyway, honestly. Because even without the crit, it was looking like a potential 2-hit KO, honestly. Which means that I would actually risk still losing the Conkeldurr, honestly. So I might have actually switched out regardless if I got that crit or not. Or if my opponent got the crit or not. So here, obviously, I'm just thinking now, if I want to actually, you know, switch out something. I think I do believe that I have to, but I just don't know into what, because again, this is a rain team and not a whole lot of my team appreciates this. I ultimately end up sending in Garchomp just because if he's gonna keep going for Liquidations, at least punish it with the Rough Skin, because, you know, Liquidation's a physical attack. Here, yeah, it does a lot of damage. He gets another freaking crit. He gets like back-to-back crits. How do you like them apples? This fucker is like straight up lucky in a lot of situations, honestly. I'll be honest with you. It's kind of insane, honestly. I mean, I think this crit obviously doesn't matter, but the fact that he got back-to-back crits, though, is just insane, honestly. My luck is just that terrible, honestly. But, yeah. Anyways, here, once again, I'm just contemplating, do I want to actually, like, I was looking at my team to see what I can possibly do in the long run, because, honestly, a rain team is just very, very difficult. And again, this is a rematch, so I kind of didn't want to lose this match, honestly. So I'm trying so hard to think what I want to do here. I ultimately end up just staying in with the Garchomp, just letting this thing go down, take more Rough Skin damage, and then I think here is when the idea occurred to me that I should probably just send in Conkeldurr and go for the Mach Punch and just finish this thing off, so we don't have more Swift Swim users, you know. Because let it be known that the majority of his team actually consists of Swift Swim users, so that's kind of why I was hoping that the Pelipper would just be taken out immediately, but unfortunately he was able to survive that Psychic and, you know, basically pivot out into whatever he wanted, and now it's working out for him. Jeez. But yeah, so here I'm just gonna go for the Mach Punch here. I was like just double checking if I really wanted to go for the Mach Punch, because there was also the possibility he might actually want to switch this thing out and preserve it and just switch out into something else. To which I could make a read and just go for the Drain Punch and get more HP back that way, but that would be a risk, obviously, and I was just wondering if I actually wanted to take that risk. I just ended up playing it safe and just going for the Mach Punch, and thankfully he does end up staying in. So if I went for the what's it called, the not Liquidation, the Drain Punch, he would have taken out my Conkeldurr right here. But thankfully I just went for the Mach Punch because I don't want to mess around with the Swift Swim user. Okay, so here, I believe he sends in the Pelipper because, as you can see, the rain is now gone. And what do you do when you have a rain team? Send out your Rain Setter, and that's exactly what he does. So now 8 more turns of rain, which is just a tragedy, honestly. So here, now I'm thinking what exactly I want to do. Now here, this is actually a very particularly interesting part of the match. Here, I literally did not know what I wanted to do, because honestly, I'm literally just put in a tight situation where I just literally run the risk of losing literally anything, because the rain is now up. He could even just predict me to just switch out into something and just go for an attack, the Pelipper, that is. Like, he could go for Hydro Pump or Hurricane, depending on what it predicts. Get a lot of damage that way, honestly. Or again, he could just pivot it and U-turn. So literally, I was just left in another encrucijada, which is insane. So here, I was considering the switch into Tapu Lele. In fact, ultimately, I do believe I make this decision of sending in Tapu Lele. However, it's also worth noting here that, look at the time. I actually do ultimately decide to send in Tapu Lele, and I thought I did that because it looked like I actually pressed, switch before the time ended. But as you can see, in a very odd twist, I actually end up not being able to switch out to Tapu Lele, and he actually ends up switching out the Pelipper as opposed to U-turning. and he switches into Inteleon, and the game actually chooses Drain Punch for me, and that ended up working out in my favor. So as you can see, the game actually ended up handicapping me a little bit just because of what happened earlier with the double crits on me, basically, which is like, holy damn. The game actually doing me a favor for once, although for whatever it's worth, because honestly, I'm still dealing with a rain team here, obviously. Like, this might not even be enough to help me win the match ultimately. But it's good to see that I finally get some more HP with this Conkeldurr, because this Conkeldurr is looking like the win condition right now, given what's left on his team. Now here he's going to switch out into the Urshifu, expecting the Mach Punch, obviously. Had I gone for another Drain Punch, I probably would have been able to go for, or maybe even 2-hit KO this Urshifu, actually, before he gets away with too much shenaniganries. But yeah, no, I went for the Mach Punch because you know, I just wanted to take out the Inteleon. I didn't want to take any unnecessary damage. I probably should have, because I am AV after all. But I don't know. In the rain, stab Hydro Pump from Inteleon might have actually still been enough to take me out. I don't know. I wasn't like at full HP, so I wasn't really confident in being able to take a Hydro Pump, honestly. Now once again here, I'm just thinking if I want to actually switch out into anything. I think I do end up switching out right here. I believe it's into the Corviknight. I just wanted to see how well I could take whatever attacking move this thing was going to go for, which I can only assume is a water type move. And I was expecting a powerful water type move, boosted in the rain, of course. He ends up going for a very particular move though. It's the Surging Strikes move, which I think I did heard of this move, but I didn't actually know what it actually did. He ends up getting a crit right here, and I thought, oh, that's nothing. But then here's when I realized this is a multi-hit move, gets another crit, gets a third crit. And then I was starting to think, you know what, this move is probably one of those moves that crits all the time. Kind of like Freeze Dry, I think, is the move. Or Frost Breath, I think it's actually. Or, yeah, I think there was like an ice move that actually crits every time you land it, obviously. This is what this move is, basically. Like the water type equivalent, only with a multi-hit effect as well, which is insane. And because of that, obviously, this basically kills me. In 2 hits, basically. Well, 5 hits, technically, but... You know, like this was like 2-hit KO territory because of the fact that this was a multi-hit crit move, boosted in the rain for that matter, which is like, oh my god, this thing is just straight up busted. Obviously, the whole multi-hit thing is contingent to like the 5 potential hits that it has, but still, I mean, that's still a risk when, you know, boosted in the rain and whatnot, because it's a water type move and whatnot. Yeah, so obviously this isn't looking too good for me, obviously. This does give me the chance to send in Tapu Lele now, though, because I lost the Corviknight, so now I get to send this in. Obviously, I can just go for the Psychic, because there's really no switch-ins to this, and much less now that the Psychic terrain is up as well. Here, I was just making absolutely sure that there wasn't anything that could just straight up take the Psychic, honestly. No, I realized that, no, there's absolutely nothing on this guy's team that can actually take a Psychic, so I should be good to go here, obviously. And here... Thankfully, I take out this damn Urshifu. Although, unfortunately for me, I'm only taking out the mons that don't have Swift Swim. So, that's kind of bad, because ultimately that's just going to allow him to send out whatever Swift Swim user he has. And then just, you know, put my team on a ringer, basically. And speaking of which, here he is going to be sending in this Barraskewda, which at the time I did not know if it was Swift Swim or not. I think it was here when I was starting to have the suspicion that it was Swift Swim. Which only made me wonder why on earth he didn't go for the liquidation on my Rotom earlier. Turns out that this thing actually was choice banded. And you're going to see how I realize that here. So he's going to go for the Poison Jab. He does outspeed me, so it's not Scarf or anything like that. And like I was Scarf, so this thing definitely was Swift Swim boosted. So I was thinking he could actually switch up his moves if he's not Scarf, right? Now here I'm going to send in Sharpedo. I actually don't know if this is a bad play in retrospect, honestly. It might have been. Not sure, but yeah, here's where I realized that, you know, this thing probably was actually banded, honestly. Because here I'm going to go for the Protect to see if he actually tries to go for something else, like maybe a fighting type move. Because it does look like it could have a fighting type move, honestly. Even if it's Rock Smash, that could possibly be enough to take out the Sharpedo. Because Sharpedo is very frail, obviously. Here I was looking at how many turns of Rain I had, and, you know, I had to go for Protect, but unfortunately, I had to go for Protect twice, because this thing's speed is actually ridiculously high that, even at +1 speed, Sharpedo was not going to be able to outspeed this thing, honestly. Unfortunately for me, here, yeah, I saw the poison jab, so obviously I was just kind of like, I didn't know what to do here. Like, because this thing is basically just going to kill my Sharpedo, and then from there I don't know what's going to happen, maybe even lose. But yeah, no. Had I known that this Barraskewda was actually choice banded, I might have actually sacked Sharpedo and then maybe even sent out the Conkeldurr first. Because I think Conkeldurr can take the poison jab, even banded, honestly. Despite the good attack stat that this thing has, which is 123, by the way, if you're wondering. And the speed for this thing is actually 136, which is incredibly high. So, like, there was just no chance for Sharpedo to outspeed. Sacking Sharpedo was probably the play here, honestly, like, before sending in the Conkeldurr and letting Tapu Lele survive. But, yeah, no, unfortunately, I just didn't really think of it at the time. I think I was a little too, like, keen on getting Sharpedo to do something that I actually tried preserving Sharpedo instead, which ultimately ended up biting me in the rear end, obviously, so that's unfortunate. So I lose Sharpedo as well. He does go for the poison jab, and as you can see, I did take it well. So if only I had just sacked Sharpedo, honestly. But sacking Sharpedo for me just feels sacrilege in a lot of situations. I bring it to my team particularly to do stuff. So yeah, I don't know. But that ended up costing me, obviously. Here, I do a lot of damage. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough to take it out. I kind of, for whatever it's worth though, because I could just Mach Punch this thing, and if he ends up switching out into something, which he actually ends up doing, you know, it wouldn't have made much of a difference, I guess, like, because here he ends up switching out, but he goes into the Inteleon, so once again, just getting rid of his Swift Swim, or non-Swift Swim users, so that he can then bring in the freaking Pelipper, which unfortunately he still has in the back of his team, to get the rain back up, unfortunately, which is annoying. But again, even if the Drain Punch took out the Barraskewda, it was still gonna lead to the same situation. In fact, I think it might have actually allowed him to just send in Pelipper right away instead of having to switch out into Inteleon, you know. But yeah, here obviously I go for the Mach Punch. I was actually afraid of going for Mach Punch on this thing initially because I wasn't sure, I wasn't sure if it was gonna be able to take it out. I do get a crit on this Mach Punch, so again, it's just kind of a mystery, unless you know your calcs, which I kind of don't, honestly, that it was actually able to take it out, so yeah. Now here, he's going to send out the last Pokemon. Actually, it's not the last Pokemon, it's the penultimate Pokemon, actually. But his other mon is weakened that if I do take this thing out, I pretty much win the match, basically. Here, what I'm hoping for with this Drain Punch is that it becomes a 2-hit KO, and I want to assume that this thing is like maybe defense invested, that the liquidation will not do too much damage. It does do a lot. Well, actually, it doesn't do a lot, actually. Like, I kind of was thinking I might have actually gone down if it actually were to do a lot of damage, but thankfully it did not do anything. So I went for the Drain Punch. Unfortunately, this thing is so defensive. It is a 2-hit KO, but here, I'm not sure if I was able to take a, another liquidation. I was contemplating on going for Drain Punch, but if I don't survive this liquidation, then I basically go down. So here, I think I ultimately decide to go for the Mach Punch instead and hope for a crit, since that's like the least, that's like the best thing I could do, honestly. If I don't get the crit, or if this thing survives for whatever reason, then I'm basically screwed. Going for the Mach Punch here was the right play, as you're gonna see right here. It's gonna survive it, unfortunately. Had I gotten the crit or maybe a higher roll, maybe I would have been able to take this thing out, but I don't. But as you can see, this liquidation ended up taking me out. So if I went for the Drain Punch right away, I would have just lost this thing. Going for the crit, hoping for the crit, by the way, was actually the ideal play. Unfortunately, me being as unlucky as I am, wasn't going to get that, obviously. So, yeah, I ended up losing yet again to this guy, which is insane. Unfortunate. And that crit that I mentioned earlier was basically the reason why I lost that match, because if I didn't get that crit, my Conkeldurr would have been much healthier. And as a result, I might have actually been able to survive that other liquidation from the Relicanth. I forgot the name of this thing already. But yeah, so obviously it is what it is. My luck is just still pretty bad. At least the RNG wasn't as incessant as in the last match, because dude, the last match was just insane, honestly. That shit was literally a match de los mil demonios. At least here, I just lost because the rain team was just too much, and a little bit of RNG was still kicking in, obviously. It's like a typical loss for me, honestly. But yeah, so anyways, that's gonna be the match for today. Let it be known that once again, I think this guy actually ended up feeling bad for me or something, but he actually offered me a rematch right after this match, which means that there is yet another match with this fella. Cause yeah, no, this guy, I don't know, he seems to like battling me for some reason. I don't really consider myself to be a good battler, but I don't know. Maybe I don't think the same for him. I don't know. I honestly couldn't tell you, honestly, but I always find it kind of like odd when someone wants to battle me more than once, especially when they're beating me, honestly, because let it be known that in Generation 7, a lot of people who beat me in matches, obnoxiously enough, not only do they not want a rematch, but then they start running their mouths and start acting like they're like top shit or some shit, honestly, and it's really obnoxious, honestly. I was kind of expecting him to be kind of like that, but turns out he's not, and he was willing to give me yet another rematch, which I'm actually going to get into in a bit, but I actually want to show you guys something before I get into that match, but not right now, obviously, not in this video. This video is pretty much done. Yeah, so obviously I wasn't too happy with this match either, honestly, just because I did lose this match still, like, and again, it was kind of influenced by RNG, not as much as in the last match, but I still lost because of RNG, which is something that's kind of not new at this point. I've been having a lot of that in the Draft League matches that I've had for Sword and Shield, so it's just like having it here still is just annoying. But yeah, here, this was a match that I was like, do I really want to showcase this match too? Like, and I did, obviously, as you can see. I was actually thinking of not showcasing it, but again, like, I already showcased the first match, obviously, but this was at the time, obviously. Like, I obviously right now I'm definitely gonna showcase it if I was actually capable of showcasing that last match. But yeah, no, it's because I feel like, you know, because prior to this match I actually did have a match that actually I ended up doing, but it went to time, so I was just like, you know what, this match at least didn't go to time, so let's just showcase it. Honestly, any match that doesn't go to time and is at least fairly played for the most part, yeah, I think it's a worthy investment, honestly, for my channel. So yeah, but anyways, with all that said, thank you all for watching this match. Hope to catch you guys for the next one whenever I get to it. For now, just take it easy and have yourselves a good one.